This is like Saturday evening nice. Saturday evening, have some chocolate. Go lose a blanket.
Yeah.
Lose a blanket.
Hey guys, it is Saturday evening. We just put the kids to sleep. We already recorded one video today and now we're recording another one. But it seems like Saturdays at our house are always a bit of a juggle because we want to try and sleep in a little bit, but we also want to spend time with the kids and we want to clean their cars and we want to make sure everyone gets like 3 meals. And then when we record, there's all this setting up and taking down and it's just a bit of a juggle.
And that is at the core of our YouTube channel, that you can have kids and at the same time have a side business or a YouTube channel or hobbies or whatever, and you don't have to put your entire life on hold, and you also don't have to feel stressed out all the time. So we're gonna share our experience of how to stop feeling stressed out and overwhelmed.
You caught me mid-laugh.
Why don't we play a game? Let's compare who has the most stressful and overwhelming life.
Yeah.
So you have to count
below.
the number of kids you have, if you have a super stressful job, the number of vacation days you have, if you have a social safety net. We made a worksheet that you can download below, and you fill that out, and then you just put in the comments what score you get, and then we'll see who's the winner. No!
We're all different, Bennett, and you're completely entitled to feeling stressed out regardless if you have 1 kid or 8 kids or have a super stressful job or if you don't work right now. We have different circumstances, we have different experiences, and life is not a competition.
We do this channel and we're all about reducing the chaos of family life. You might get the very mistaken impression that, we don't feel stressed or overwhelmed. And I'm just gonna clarify this once and for all. We do get stressed, we do get overwhelmed. We have normal situations where things are going crazy and it just feels like we're one step behind for the entire day or the entire week or maybe not the entire month ever, but like we know those feelings and they're completely normal.
But we have gotten really good at identifying when that happens and like, ooh, I'm feeling stressed now. Now I need to use the tools that I know how to use.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like you get handed a toolbox and it's a small toolbox and you have, like your screwdriver and a hammer and you know how to use those, and then you add a couple more tools and you kind of have an idea. But it's a constant thing that you both expand your toolbox and you learn how to use the tools properly. And you can't expect to, be an expert carpenter from the first time you get your own very little toolbox to work with. But it's a gradual process, and that's what we're here to help you out with.
I remember when I got my first toolbox. It was pink.
Are we
bright
going there?
Pink. Yeah, we are. Bright pink. My dad gave it to me when I moved away from home for the first time, and we still have it.
Yeah, you still have it.
We still have it. We got married. I was like, look, we don't need tools. I have them. And he's like, those are yours. We'll get ours. But we don't want to overburden you with a bunch of tools and a huge tool case, so we've narrowed it down to just 3 simple steps for how to help you get less stressed and less overwhelmed. The first one is to capture things. I think one of the biggest differences between people who get overwhelmed and people who don't is just the habit of capturing things. And that could be things like appointments, like doctor's appointments or PTA meetings you have to go to. It could be things that you need to get done around the house, things you need to buy, or just people you want to see.
Yeah, secret missions, missile codes, that kind of stuff.
All those things, like you need to capture them. You don't need to do them right then and there, but at least capture them and then find out when to do them later. I personally feel overwhelmed a lot of time when a lot of things pop up all at once. So like if I'm making dinner and it's happening right at that crucial point where I'm stirring something and I can't leave because it's gonna burn if I step away for just 1 second. Like 2 of the kids will come in, they'll be fighting, and like my best friend's gonna call who I've been trying to get a hold of for like weeks, and then I'm like, I wanna talk to her, I wanna stop this, I don't wanna burn this, and that gives me stress.
I am kind of the same way. Like I get overwhelmed if I feel like I have a lot of things on my plate and I have that fear of like forgetting something, of dropping the ball or things, kind of getting lost in the mix. And I hate the idea of not like delivering on stuff that I'm responsible for. And so that feeling of having a lot of stuff floating around in my brain and forgetting stuff potentially, that is what causes me overwhelm.
And let's face it, these things never pop up at the right time. And they have a really bad habit of usually popping up 2 or 3 of them at the wrong time.
Yeah, or popping up multiple times at the wrong time. And so the idea is to capture it, and it's something that I think you can train yourself to do, and we have tried to train ourselves to do it, to capture it and put it somewhere where we know it's safe and we can refer to it later. And that helps us to avoid ping-ponging, which we'll get to in a little bit, but also to free up some of that mental space to be able to just focus on one thing at a time. And it differs from person to person what works in terms of capturing. It can be putting stuff directly into your calendar. It can be carrying a little notebook or post-it notes where you write down stuff that happens that you need to remember for later. Or it could be using a to-do list of some sort. Now we're gonna do a video in a couple of weeks where we compare Google Calendar to Cozy, which is another very popular family planner type of app. So if you're looking for a good way to capture stuff and help you to stop feeling overwhelmed by using this tip, then you don't want to miss that. And if you haven't already, then make sure you subscribe so you'll get notified when that video actually comes out.
This is a really great way to really lower that stress level, but there are so many different ways to feel stressed. This is just how we feel stressed. My mom, for example, she feels visually stressed. So if things aren't picked up around her, things are a mess, then she can't relax or concentrate about anything.
I relate to that.
I don't so much, and it's my mom, so it's weird. What causes you overwhelm? Please let us know in the comments below because we all have different ways of feeling overwhelmed. So what overwhelms you the most?
This is good. This is therapeutic. So as soon as you start like labeling what it is and those feelings that you actually associate with, you know, the stress and the overwhelm, that's the first step to addressing it.
Fortunately, we have another tip for how to stop feeling stressed out and overwhelmed all the time, and that is to do the right things.
When are we gonna break out the chocolate?
I'll break it out, don't worry.
Why are you in charge of breaking out the chocolate?
I'm pregnant.
Fair. I find there's a common pitfall for when I'm feeling like visually overwhelmed to want to just go to the next thing that I notice that needs to be addressed and then solve that and then go to the next, and you know, you kind of get distracted along the way and then you end up like doing this ping-ponging or pinballing where you just like bounce between things and then at the end of the day you look back and you're like, what happened?
Exhausted.
And in these situations, it's really important to just be able to take a step backwards and prioritize. And what we've done is taken all of the tasks that we're responsible for, that we carry out or delegate on a day-to-day basis, and we've broken them down into 3 categories. So the first one is important, the second one is urgent, and the third one is everything has gone to crap. And really, a given task can have any of those 3 levels of importance depending on how long you leave it for or how and when it pops up.
For example, the laundry. Now, that's important to do. But maybe Monday I have plenty of clothes. Tuesday, Wednesday, no problem. We're still good. But Thursday I realize, oh, I'm on my last pair of underwear, or like my kids are on their last pair of pants, and it's probably pretty urgent to do laundry today. Now, if I don't do it, then Friday morning comes around and I'll have to send my kids to school in like their pajama shirt and the cleanest pants I can dig out of the dirty laundry, and that might not go over so well with them.
At that point, that becomes like the only thing on your agenda because you have to solve it, and that means that everything else gets pushed to the side.
In these situations, that's when I start feeling really stressed out and overwhelmed, or just feeling generally bad about myself as a mom. And that's what we want to avoid. One thing that helps is eating chocolate. Let's have some.
Galaxy. I like shooting videos so much. Okay, so reality check. I think there's a good reason that we work together as well as we do, in that I think we kind of balance each other out, you know?
Yeah.
Focusing on the high level stuff, but also having the flexibility to jump between stuff that actually does pop up and is urgent.
So it's really like a balance to find out how to do both and how to work off each other so that you can do all of it.
Yeah, so think about, you know, how you want your time to be split up. Do you want things to be, you know, like 80% to working on important stuff and then maybe 20% urgent, and, you know, in most cases you don't have firefighting stuff pop up? I think that's the idea. Like, you want to get to that point, but at the same time, you know, you also don't want to not do the urgent stuff when it pops up and you need to address it. So let's go back to the, actually, let's go back to the chocolate. You want Mars, probably.
You knew that. That's my favorite. Mars. Oh, it won't focus.
I bet it will. There, hold on, let me just.
It's coming.
Oh yeah, there we go.
That is like the best chocolate bar.
Won't focus on us.
Ever.
No. Just shake your face.
I could never find it in America. Like sometimes they had like a white version, but that wasn't as good.
Glad we got that sorted out.
I know, right? I mean, I know, right?
Now we're talking about prioritizing in the context of doing the right things. And one thing that we could probably prioritize right now is how much we talk about chocolate versus how much we talk about practical things that you can do to not feel stressed out and overwhelmed. But prioritizing isn't the only thing that you can do to make sure that you do the right things. Another thing that's really gonna help you in not feeling overwhelmed is learning how to delegate and delegate properly. The thing is, we each have our strengths and weaknesses. We've kind of talked about that. There are certain things that I'm much better at than you are, and there are other things that you are much better at than I am. And then there are certain things that our kids are super good at and we're not. And then there are other things, again, that our kids maybe aren't so good at. Maybe we are good at them, but we just don't like doing them, so we have our kids do them.
Or, kind of off that last point, there are certain things that our kids should get good at doing for their own benefit. So we delegate to them, help them along the way, and then they can do more.
Yeah, and I think it's just important that when you start feeling overwhelmed, because I mean, let's face it, we only have 24 hours in the day. We have a finite amount of willpower and energy. And when those 2 or 3 components don't really add up, it's really important that we try to kind of weed things away. And if we can delegate something that somebody else in the family or, you know, outside of the home is really good at, then those things you don't have to worry about.
Finally, we can also get really good at lowering our barriers. So look around your home and find out like what things here are actually more complicated than they have to be. And a really good tool here is to declutter your home. So like look around, are there things that I don't need that's adding too much clutter to my home and making it too hard for me to just pick up or clean? Then get rid of those things.
And doing that by default is gonna help you focus on doing the right things, to do the things that are, you know, important or even trivial, rather than constantly spending your time and energy on things that are essentially burning platforms.
We have plenty of videos on our channel about how to declutter and organize, so make sure you check some of those out after you watch this video.
Before we go into the last step of how to stop being stressed out and overwhelmed, let's take a break and have a chocolate.
Yep.
Didn't they used to have like the Galaxy like caramel ones?
These aren't Galaxy caramel ones. They just don't say it, but they're filled with caramel.
This is happening. Okay, I had another point with this. And that was, if you like the video, then please give us a like. If you would like some chocolates, then send us your address and we'll send some over.
No, we won't.
Probably
I'm
not.
pregnant, I'll eat it first. Now the third step is to do things right. And that is really like work smarter, not harder. We've all heard that like a million times before. It's like a really good quote for movies and things. But it's also something that you really can do. But more like how? How do you work smarter, Bennett?
I think it's all about setting up systems. It also plays into delegating, making sure that, you know, you're doing the things that you're good at and other people are doing the things that they're good at. But setting up systems and setting up your environment, setting up your home in such a way that, you know, it all works together to reduce the time and energy you have to spend on the different tasks that you do on a weekly basis or a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so when the kids come home from school, the first thing to do is to take out their lunch boxes and put it on the kitchen counter so that when I make lunches, I don't have to go looking for their lunchbox.
Yeah.
It's just like a small thing.
Because the alternative is they leave the lunchboxes in there, and then that has like a domino effect for, you know, the following morning, where they realize, okay, they still have lunch in there from the day before, and then we have to wash that and we have to get a new lunchbox. And it's just, I mean, it can make things unnecessarily difficult. A good example of where we actually created a really nice system and made sure that we had, you know, our home set up in such a way that everything is optimized is our laundry.
Yeah, we did a video on that, so you can check that one out. We'll link it up here. Actually, when we set up the system, we cut down the time that I spend on laundry by 70%. That's like 70%. It's amazing. So it's just basically having the kids be responsible for certain chores and then making sure that things run really smoothly. It's so warm still.
It is super warm.
I asked you in the beginning if I should put my hair up or down. You said down. I should have put it up.
So I don't know what the pros and cons are. It does make sense though.
Yeah.
Like when I grow a really big bushy beard.
You've never grown a really big bushy beard.
A great big bushy beard.
Do you know that quote? Let us know if you know it, because then we'll be really impressed.
And we'll be even better friends.
Yeah. Just to sum up, all these things really work well together. When you get good at capturing things, it makes it so much easier for you to do the right things at the right time in the right way. And that really eliminates that stress and overwhelm.
One last thing that I want to add is that when you have gotten really good at using these tools, is to not stress out. Not stress out over using these tools, because that doesn't make sense. That then it becomes very counterproductive. Instead, Focus on, getting that B+. Focus on the 80-20. If you have a bunch on your plate, which most likely you do, then be happy with getting a lot done. And then, focus on those things instead of just the stuff that you didn't get done.
That's a really good way to end this video, Ben.
I think so too. Actually, I can think of one better way to end this video.
Chocolate.
Chocolate!
Oh.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you're inspired to try out 1 or 2 of these steps, maybe even all 3 in your day-to-day life to stop feeling stressed and overwhelmed. If you check over here, we have a couple more videos. We've mentioned why you should stick around our channel. So have a click around and then we'll see you next Thursday.
Bye.